overall it feels like it's kind of recommended not to fast in pregnancy. So you absolutely do not have to. And for most people, it won't be possible because you will feel rubbish, and actually person in itself, well, it's one worship, as you said, but you actually just won't feel able to do that. But I wonder if you could summarize that if you are going to fast during Ramadan, what are the things that you can do to kind of help you, and also just touch on the role of timing in that?
So I think, number one, make sure you're nourished. Actually, one thing I didn't mention is that I really planned my annual leave around Ramadan so that I was like working half days. Obviously, not everyone can do that, I understand. But I mean, I feel like there needs to be so many caveats of why it was easy for me, because it might not be easy for everyone else. So I was only working half days, and I asked my timing to be shifted at 10 a.m. so I can come in a little bit later, which again, one of the, virtues of GP, that you can do stuff like that. Obviously, you can't do that in every medical specialty, than other jobs. But yeah, nutrition, I think, is like really important. There's a big tendency in Ramadan to have like, big spreads. And sometimes, when you're hungry, you're like, I want this and this and this and this. And sometimes it's very fried and unhealthy. And obviously within moderation, that's a little bit safer. But I think paying attention to, honestly, nutrients, making sure you're getting your protein, making sure you're getting all the right vegetables, etc. Everything that like you would just be extra focused. I mean, I think dates are really, really good. And I used to have like a date coconut milk oat smoothie for my in the morning, which was and I think that was it, yeah. And it was really good. And it was like I'd like look forward to, and honey as well, yeah. And so I'd look forward to
smoothie.
Huh?
Then look how happy you look talking about that smoothie.
I'm gonna have it tonight. But yeah, making food that you look forward to, I think, is really important. Also, like reaching out to support, like you mentioned, like not just in postpartum, but actually if people can cook for you, etc. But I think that actually the fundamental advice I would give any pregnant woman or postpartum woman who wants to, or not postpartum, but breastfeeding woman who wants to fast, is just take it one day at a time. And I think that's like the kind of one-liner of everything I've said.
Yeah,
one day at a time.
I thought you were going to miss that. I was like, no, what about the golden?
The golden rule.
Exactly. And also that you fasted when you were in your second trimester, which happened to be when you felt best.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great.
Case for everyone else. And finally, the last thing is, if you are pregnant or you've had a baby and you're not fasting during Ramadan, just outline some ways in which you can still feel connected to your faith and spirituality.
Yeah, so intentionality in everything, absolutely everything, like cooking and, everything, cooking. So that there is I don't actually mention this, but there is a saying from the Prophet where if you feed a fasting person, it's the equivalent of you fasting as well, as for the reward. So that's amazing. If you want to feed people, feed your family, make a meal for your husband, whatever, there's a lot of opportunity in that. And then likewise, making sure that you're donating, all of the kind of standard Ramadan things that you would do anyway. So increasing your Quran, increasing your understanding of the Quran. There's so many resources now online that you can just learn about. Increase your kind of knowledge, etc. And also, actually, I didn't mention this either, and maybe it's a topic for another podcast. But actually, like introspecting and looking, because a lot of Ramadan is about our own character and trying to, polish ourselves and be better people and better, and not just to our communities, but actually with our families. And I think that's something that's really easy for me to say. But sometimes if there's family disputes or family things that are going on, actually, or even with friends, like, is there something that we can do because it's Ramadan to try and fix those and try and like mend broken relationships or build bridges? And that is actually very, very challenging, but really, really rewarding. Because again, Ramadan is so much about relationships and all of that as well. So I think there's actually like, if you do a deep dive in what can I do if I'm not fasting on Ramadan, and actually, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. One thing that really changed my perspective is I met this Muslim sister before my pregnancy, about 3 years ago, and she had type 1 diabetes, and so she never fasts because you shouldn't be fasting for type 1.
Yeah, that is the recommendation not to. Yeah,
no, exactly, because obviously you're having insulin like 3 times a day, and yeah, obviously they would probably like get really unwell if they fasted. So she had never fasted in her life. And she was like roughly in her 30s. And it was just so interesting because she was like, these are all the things that I do in Ramadan, and Ramadan for her is very different to somebody. And she was also not going to make up her fast because she's always got type 1 diabetes. So I think that meeting her was like, it put into perspective so many things. Number one, the privilege of being able to make up our fast. And you know, the beauty is in Islam, like, you don't have to make up for like hours. You can do it December. So you can make up on December 21st, the shortest day of the year. You can make that up for the one you missed on June 21st, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be hours. It's just a fast from sunrise to sunset. And so, like, number one, the privilege of being able to make them up at all. Number two, the privilege of having FOMO from fasting because she's never experienced it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's like that. I think it's easy to get caught up in these discussions, isn't it, about like pregnancy and these times. But actually, there's loads of people. It's not just type 1 diabetes. There's a lot of conditions or chronic illnesses where people can't fast at all and don't fast. Rightly so, and God has exempted them from that. And it says, and you know, for them, they are supposed to feed somebody else or feed someone poor each evening of Ramadan. And so that's the fidya al-kafara, which you mentioned. And so I think that is. There's so much, like, I think honestly everything is about perspective shifting, and just like having that perspective that it's okay. Like, there is so much reward in everything, and there is reward in not fasting. Like, if you're choosing not to fast because of your health and because you're valuing your child's health, that there is reward in that as well.